This is the Java Fern, hands down one, if not the most popular aquatic plant in the hobby. It's got a ton of positive attributes, and there's virtually no downside to keeping this plant. In fact, if you've never kept plants before, or if you don't have much experience, this is definitely a plant that you're going to want to get. So let's go over some of the stuff that you'll need to know when keeping the Java Fern. The Java Fern comes to us from Southeast Asia, and there are quite a few variations, like the red Java Fern, the narrow leaf Java Fern, and the Tropica variation. And one of the things that makes the Java Fern great to keep is that it's a very versatile aquatic plant. It can be used as a background plant, as a mid-ground plant, and even as a feature plant in the display. The Java Fern can reach up to 10 inches, and that's about 25 centimeters. And when it comes to growth, the Java Fern grows relatively slow compared to other aquatic plants, which might be the only downside to keeping this plant. And even that isn't all that bad compared to other plants that are very needy or difficult to grow. Another great thing about the Java Fern is that it requires low light to grow healthy. One of the biggest issues with some plants is that they require a lot of light, which can cause algae growth in your tank. Now, algae growth can be beneficial, but too much makes the tank look kind of messy. And not having to have so much light, to me, is something that I like about keeping the Java Fern. Another thing I like about keeping the Java Fern is that the Java Fern has rather tough leaves, and because of this, herbivores kind of leave the plant alone. And if the tough leaves wasn't enough, the Java Fern release chemicals that deter fish from eating them. Now, unlike other aquatic plants that are planted, the Java Fern will need to be attached to something in the tank rather than planted in the substrate. One interesting thing to note is that the Java Fern can grow both in and out of the water. Oftentimes, aquarists simply tie the roots of the Java Fern onto a piece of driftwood or a rock to anchor it. In time, the roots will attach themselves and won't have to be tied down anymore. The Java Fern should be kept in a temperature in between 64 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's about 18 to 28 degrees Celsius. And with a neutral pH. Again, this is a very hardy plant, so it should be able to adapt to most water parameters. And as the Java Fern grows, it can be split into two pieces to propagate. And the extra Java Fern can be replanted, or in this case, reattached, to keep growing the Java Fern.